Privyet, it's Influx, and welcome back to Level 25. This week, our special guest is Swong. Swong, how are you doing?
Hey, what's up, Influx? I'm doing okay. How about yourself?
Oh, I'm doing great. I'm glad that you could make it.
Thank you for inviting me. I feel very honored to be a part of this podcast tonight.
And I'm honored to have you. So I'm sure that people are familiar with who you are, having finished in the semifinals in a couple of recent months of the Dr. Mario Monthly. Uh, so why don't you just give us a bit of the rest of who you are?
Hey, so I'm Swong. I'm actually a personal trainer by trade, but on the off time, I play Dr. Mario as kind of a de-stressor. And last year, sometime during the pandemic, I was like, you know what? I'm gonna play one of my favorite games, childhood favorite games. Played on, host up on Twitch, play a bit of it, and just see what speedrunning is all about. Just because why not? Because speedrunning, a lot of my friends have got into it, and I decided, let's give it a shot. And I was trying to do like looking through the different categories in speedrun. I was relatively new to it. Decided to delve into some 0 to 20 run, and I think it was my one and done run, but Sarah Sparkle happened to have caught a glimpse of it and it's like, hey, you should join this community and we have these monthly speedrun tournaments. I was like, well, it felt very enlightening in a sense that there was like this community that I didn't know existed, and I was brought into this community with like-minded Dr. Mario, folks that can nerd out the game, and it was slightly intimidating, but it was like I did not know I needed this, but I did need it. It was really cool. It was like, wow.
If you needed any more reason to, always be telling people about the community, there it is. Thanks, Sarah, for dropping that initial line.
Yeah, I was like, all right, cool, yeah. And so it was. Yeah, I'm glad she somehow checked out the stream and said you should join, and here I am now. So,
So, do you have any Dr. Mario heroes?
actually, yeah. So back in the day, and I think this is kind of the catch-all be-all as far as the moms that grow up to play Dr. Mario. So I think much like this era of a lot of folks that got in, Tetris came out, and I think my older brother had his Nintendo Entertainment System. She bought Tetris for him, and he started playing it. But I think the big thing that he enjoyed it and he was good at it, but he just didn't really have that sort of appeal to it. Like I think he was more into like Final Fantasy and Dragon Warrior 1 and 2 at the time. So, the Tetris was whatever, but it didn't really catch his attention like these JRPGs from way back when.
Mm-hmm.
And so fast forward a few years later when Dr. Mario came out for the NES, I'm not kind of having a little bit of a blur if she got it for the family as like a Christmas gift or got it for his birthday. But we had Dr. Mario in the house somehow, and I kind of remember like her having like, yeah, I'm gonna sit down and play Dr. Mario. And she kind of like my brother played a little bit of it, and he's like, whatever. Like again, it was kind of like didn't really catch his attention. I was a little kid, so I didn't really like fully understand, but I'd kind of sit from afar, sit in my mom's lap while she was playing it, and I was just so fascinated to see like, whoa, it was like these three colors, and I didn't really ask how to play it. I guess I was kind of like a sponge and kind of soaked it up and absorbed it. And I was just so fast, like, wow, she got to like level 5 and level 6, and I was just like, there's more things to clear up, and I was just like so in awe that I was like, wow, my mom's like great at this game.
Yeah.
And I remember at the time, like again, I'm a kid. I don't fully understand it. I don't fully understand the game. I think I played versus, and I was like, oh man, I lost. Like this is like I'm getting killed by my mom over here. And of course, my brother being a teenage kid, older brother than me, he was like, well, I'll play, sure, whatever. And so I remember I thought my mom was like the greatest Dr. Mario player ever. Then my brother, who barely played the game, just kind of observed from afar, played versus and absolutely obliterated my mom. And I was like, so from that point on, I was just like, whoa, like I thought my mom was good. I can't beat her. but my brother now he's a stud at this game. And I was just like in like my mind has exploded. Little kid logic. I was like, wow, so my brother's like the best in the world. And so it didn't help that he'd play against me, and I could never beat him in the game of versus. And
Hmm.
I was like, wow, this my brother, he's the coolest, best Dr. Mario player ever. So I aspired to be like him.
That's awesome. Does he know that you play Dr. Mario now?
Yeah, it's kind of funny because like I have mentioned, hey, I'm doing these monthly speedrunning tournaments, and he'll be like, so how did you do? And I was like, yeah, I got to the semifinals, and I think he's off, playing other games like Left 4 Dead or Back 4 Blood or whatever it might be. But he was like, okay, that's cool. Like, cool. The next time I'll try and hop in on the stream. So, um, as far as like the level of Dr. Mario, I don't think he realizes that I'm in like this like speedrunning world and
Hmm.
trying to really catch and just become better at the game and just really enjoying it as much as well I did as a kid.
Yeah. Yeah, that's an interesting thing about this community. It's pretty small, but we have very good players. It's a small pond, but it also has some very big fish in it.
Absolutely, I think you nailed it with the. I've heard it's like a big fish in no, yeah, big fish in a small pond.
Hmm.
It's definitely it's definitely one of those things where you think you're pretty good at the game, and then you see these players around the world, and they just wow, they'll school you first couple hundred times, and you play with or against them. It's amazing to see the level of talent and the level of talent that's constantly growing and evolving with this game that came out in the 90s.
Yeah. So, you mentioned that you are a personal trainer. I'm wondering if there are any skills or knowledge that you have in that profession that translates to Dr. Mario.
Yeah, I think the best takeaway with fitness and personal training in general is we're thinking long term. We don't want to think short term as far as I think a lot of us folks really want to get to, hey, I want to lose 10 pounds, lose 20 pounds. And we think, okay, we think from A to Z, but the journey to get from the beginning to the end is we might have obstacles in life. We might have, mental hurdles. We might have it where we have just life takes us, throws us around, or it's a whirlwind of emotions that go by. And I think the important thing with training as well as Dr. Mario's, it is a long term thing. We're only comparing ourselves, and we have to be consistent with our own change and our own progress with that. It's a moment where we are expecting that change, but it's not an overnight thing. It's a thing that the frustrations may add up at the end of the day. If we're consistent with it, we're trusting the process to get to that end result.
So, traditional sports like wrestling or basketball, I think, are primarily physical competitions, but with important mental aspects to them. Players need to train not only their bodies, but also their minds during practice. And I think the same is true for Dr. Mario, though perhaps the proportions are inverted. It's a primarily mental game, but there are some physical aspects and behaviors that are important to improving your gameplay and delivering your best performance. Things like going for a walk or stretching can help put you in a good mindset. Things like nutrition and good rest are very important when it comes to pushing for better times and improving your gameplay.
I think the rest is honestly the biggest piece of the puzzle. I know there have been moments where I've streamed even just throughout the day or even late at night. I'm sure you get this too, Influx, where you're playing and you just have these mental blockage that you're just like, what am I doing? Like I misflipped it, or I flipped red over yellow instead of yellow over red of the pills,
Yeah.
or I placed this in the wrong spot, or just you make these little mistakes that add up. And the rest is such a huge part of it, just in our day to day activities, even with Dr. Mario, or even just trying to get rid of these daily stressors in our life. I mean, that's honestly the biggest thing in my opinion when it comes to the hidden key to that success.
Yeah. I think Sarah Sparkle had mentioned something like that before, how she set Sundays as her day to qualify, to help establish that rhythm in her life. something very physical that can help lead to the results that you want.
Fascinating. I didn't know that she would dedicate a dedicated day to the speedrunning. That makes sense though. I mean, it's just don't have to have don't not being bogged down by the work week.
Hmm.
Lester, that's cool. Yeah, I'm gonna take note of that for sure.
So one thing that I think stands out about you in the Dr. Mario community is that you are actively involved in both the Virus Busters League and the Dr. Mario Monthly, versus and speedrunning. Um, Not that our tournament organizers would ever be so blind, but if there were a speedrun event and a versus event on the same day and you couldn't go to both, which would you choose?
That's really tough. I'm torn because I grew up loving verses, and that was the original thing that I was actually trying to get better at so I can eventually beat my brother in verses consistently,
Hmm.
which I've never have because again he got interested in other things. So I was like, no, so we'll never know. We'll never know, but I might be able to beat him. But a speedrunning tournament and a versus tournament, you know, I'm bummed because I couldn't go to the convention in Ohio.
Yeah, we
So
missed
I
you.
do want to check that off my bucket list. So I'd have to go into versus train with that. Even though speedrunning is I'm near and dear to it and I really have grown to truly appreciate it. I have not checked that versus in-person versus off my bucket list. I'd love to do that more.
Mm, yeah. As it is, you do switch up your streams. Sometimes you're doing versus, sometimes you're doing speedrunning. Is that difficult for you to adjust?
At first it was quite difficult. I was so accustomed to versus at first when I did my qualifier earlier this year, my first one, 2021. Um, I was playing as though I had an opponent in front of me, and it was okay. It was an aggressive style play. John Nash says a very aggressive. He's like, "Oh, you're a very aggressive player when it comes to slamming the pills down." But ultimately, I barely cracked into 14 in my first month, and it was one of those things where I had to go back to the drawing board and realize, oh
Hmm.
wow, like why am I playing this style if I don't have the opponent in front of me? Like,
Yeah.
what are these other players doing? What are these dimwits and these packies and the bidwells? Why are these high end level players getting into level 16 and above? Like, this is just blowing my mind how quick they are. And I realized that they don't have the opponent. Their only opponent is themselves. They're just trying to clear the level as fast as they can. They're not interested in creating combos and clearing the combos. Well, maybe Bidwell, but he has since changed his game up and is yeah, he's killing
Yeah.
it. But it's tough. I mean, I got into the speedrun side of things, and then Doc into Discord. He said, "Hey, let's start on some verses," and he schooled me big time. I mean, I was like, "Oh wow, I forgot how to play verses," and I think he was very kind. He's like, "Yeah, you'll get better at it. You know." You were good, and I think I felt like, oh man, Doc, oh man, yeah, you beat me really bad. I went to the burn ward, Doc, man, whoo. So, but it is at times it's tough because a part of me wants to do the quick clears
Hmm.
in speedrunning, and then a part of me says, well, maybe we throw down the combos. And a part of me is like, oh wait, my brain kind of gets crosswired a bit. But I think now it's a little easier. But there are moments where I do forget. Oh wait, whoops, what am I doing? I got a speedrun. I'm not doing versus, or I'm doing versus. I don't need a speedrun right now.
Yeah. Not to like totally call you out, but I was watching you play games against Snipe the other day, and when it got down, you were like even with him head to head, and when it got down to like 10 or 12 viruses left, I noticed that you started to do the speed run thing of like trying to drill down to the viruses and clear them out like individually, whereas Snipe just like was also with a very messy board, but was just clearing garbage and making combos fall on you, and you were stun locked. And I thought in that moment that there was perhaps a bit of that, cross wired, like this speed run mindset.
Totally. I can totally see that. And yeah, I think a part of me was like, I look and I'm either it doesn't even matter if I'm ahead or behind. I'll look and there are some months I'm like, what am I doing? I need to focus on the combos, and I don't even have a crazy setup. I just don't have any setup, and I'm like, okay, I got to get back into it. It's hard to change up at times. But yeah, I can see what you're saying there. I 100% agree.
Yeah.
So I apologize to the viewers and the observers that saw that. It was not my best showing, but we're here to have an entertaining time, right?
You took at least one set that I saw, so it was a pretty good showing, I feel.
I think, yeah, I was actually quite impressed. I mean, if so we did our Virus Buster holiday um kickoff there, and I was stoked because Snipe is a very strong player, very tough opponent. And last
Hmm.
season, I couldn't even take a single crown. Maybe I took one crown off him, but he obliterated me. It was between him and Hibamato. They just crushed me,
Yeah.
and I was super stoked because this time around I played against Snipe. We were going back and forth. It was a slugfest, a brawl, and I was like, holy moly. I took a match against Snipe. I went 3-2 against him. And then the next thing, I was like, holy moly, I went 3-2 again. And then Snipe's like, nope, I'm not gonna let you do that again. He like swept me 0-3. I was like, ah, well, at least I took two games from you.
Yeah.
But I was like, whoa, I can't believe it. I actually beat him. Like, never happened. Never happened.
Yeah, your improvement arc has really been something to see. You mentioned that 14 level 14 qualifier when you played in January, and now you're getting into 17s a year later.
Yes, it was a process. I mean, I've had very inconsistent performances. Um, I've had it as low as 14, as high as 17, kind of everything in between, 16s from here. I mean, it's been a wild journey, and I think at the end of the day, I have to remind myself, wait a second, like in the versus scene, garbage is good. In the speedrunning scene, garbage is not so good.
Yeah.
We do have to embrace the garbage, but there are times when the filth and the garbage that's on the board, we can't we can't be playing with that in the speedruns. It's about being methodical and playing your textbook Dr. Mario and really sticking to mostly fundamentals in the speedrunning. And sometimes we forget. Sometimes we make mistakes. How do
Yeah.
we adapt? How do we adapt under pressure? I'm still trying to figure that out. I'm sure others could chip in and give some tips, and I think we're both, everybody can benefit greatly from that.
Hmm. So your success in the versus side is kind of matched by success in the speedrunning side. You recently went on just an absolute tear of PBs. Um, well, at least two, but in the 0 to 10 category and the 0 to 20. You beat me in 0 to 10, which I gotta say I'm not stoked about.
You'll get there. I think I definitely. It's not going to be a long lasting. Records are meant to be broken, and I don't foresee myself keeping that record. That it's gonna. I foresee somebody going to break it very soon. Very soon.
I think you could probably break it as well. Mine's a 12-18, I think, right now, and yours is what, a 12-15, right?
All 15. Yeah.
Yeah. It's crazy that the low 12s are getting crowded on the leaderboard right now.
It took a while, I mean, I was having a dry spell with my own PBs, honestly. It was kind of at the part again, even though consistency is important, that sort of I kind of wanted that. Oh, I want that PB. I want that PB. I want to chase
Hmm.
that PB. It took months, honestly. It took maybe 4 or 5 or 6 months for me to even break an old PB, and then when it finally happened, I was like, wait a second. Oh, it's like 40 seconds back. Oh man.
Yeah.
Like I didn't expect it to be like I was expecting a few seconds, but and then all right, well there's my PB. I'm not gonna get another one for another year.
Yeah, you jumped from a 12-54, I think. It was.
Yeah, it was something like a 12:56 or 58. It was like barely into the 12s, and it was a long time coming, and it was very stoked about that. I was shaking.
Yeah. Well, I know that you're talking about consistency, and surely not every 0 to 10 is getting into level 12, but I think that these categories, 0 to 10 and 0 to 20, represent consistency within themselves at the very least. It for 12 minutes you were playing very, very good Dr. Mario. So, and sometimes that's all you need, you know?
Yeah, totally.
I think that those of us who have picked up the game more recently have a long ways to go in that respect. My performance in the Dr. Mario monthlies has been variable. I need to build that consistency, uh, and I'm sure that you feel the same way as well. You'd like to
Oh,
to know to know what results you can expect when you go into
yeah.
round one.
It's funny when you say the word variable because it's when I see your results, I see the climb, but it wasn't your climb and your improvement with the game influx wasn't just like I'm gonna go from like level 15, low level 15 to high level 16. It was like mid level 15 to like deep into level 17. It was like a huge exponential growth, and I was like, wait a second, like hold up, what's this dude doing that's different from what I'm doing or what other people are doing? And I was like, well, like I had a month where I had like a kind of a fluke month, and I went back to it, and then I was like, oh no, he's consistent. He's Influx is getting deep into 17 each qualifier. Like he's doing something right, and so
Mm.
you're a scary opponent. I mean, I would hate to face off against. I'd love to, but hate to face off against at the same time.
Same, honestly. I think it's a real shame that you got eliminated round one.
Yeah,
Maybe we could have meet up.
it was yeah. Watchman is a brilliant player.
For real.
And I was very happy. Like I'm trying to make it just so happens that most of my matches have been unique matches, which I'm very thankful for.
Hmm.
But it was I was like, okay, Watchman, like he's consistently good. I think statistically he has not lost a round one match, and I think Leviticus was in the same boat, which I didn't get the opportunity to face him unfortunately in round one, but those two players have been undefeated round one, and I was like, okay,
Dang.
I want to give them their first loss. That'd be so great. I'd be like, oh, like I could see the devil horns popping out my head, and I was like, oh, this is gonna be great. And I played, pretty well. And then Watchmen again, like a 5:30 with his. I was like, yeah, you can't beat the second best time that was ever posted. Like,
Yeah.
like I props, man, mad props to you. I tip my head off to you, sir, for doing that. Like, not many people could beat that time in against. I'm like, yep, well earned, well played.
Yeah. Almost no one has ever
Yeah,
beaten that time. So,
it was amazing. I was like, wow, I was up against history. Okay.
yeah. Well, I think that the brackets are starting to get stuffed with very strong players. Even a good seed, fourth or fifth, isn't going to guarantee that you're not going to get, you know, matched up against Watchma in round one.
Yeah, it's weird. We that was a weird, an interesting month for sure. Dimwit at a 16, Watchma was a 9 seed. I think we had DM Hero as a 15 seed, and his score wasn't. It was a good score. It was just what a wild month that we had.
Yeah. And it's been kind of quiet on the front of qualifiers this month. I haven't seen very many of our regular players put up a qualifier yet. And I think my theory is that everyone's a little bit scared because you get two qualifying attempts, but you only get two qualifying attempts. And
Yes.
I think everyone understands that you need a 17 if you want to feel safe. And so I think people are putting it off until they can kind of see the lay of the land and maybe until they feel like they can put forth their very best effort. I know I am.
I'm sure it's going to be deep into level 17 too, like a low 17, 1730 or 1740 at least. So when you
What?
know when you post it, just let us know. We'll definitely cheer you on.
Oh yeah. I hope. I'm hoping for my to join the 18 club, you know? It
That would be nice, yeah. To be the third person to do that, that'd be fantastic, yeah. Up there with Frank and Floyd.
Yeah.
What an elite group of folks.
Do you think that you might hit the 18 club this month?
This month, no. I actually unfortunately have some family and friend commitments this month, so I unfortunately have to formally withdraw from this month. I didn't even qualify this month, but I'm kind of bummed because I was like, well, darn. So December, yes, for the championships. Unfortunately for November, I can't participate this month, which is a shame, but there's always next month.
And you are guaranteed a spot in the December championship already, so
Yes. I am thrilled with an asterisk at the end because as it stands right now, I'm against Savage Octagon and she schooled me the first time I played against her. So I'm not looking forward to that match because she is really good in the first round. So
the salty run back.
it's tough. Yeah, she's fantastic. So I don't know. It's I'm hoping the bracket shakes up a little bit, but you never know. But all I can do is just practice that level block and give her a run for her money, I suppose, right?
Yeah. Well, the way that the monthly has been going recently, I'm sure that you can expect upsets, and I bet you the bracket's going to shake up a little bit. At least some
I,
shifting.
I think so, and I hope so too. I think competition is healthy. The upsets, feels bad for the person that lost, feels good for the victor. But you know, at the end of the day, I think we can all agree that we go back to the drawing board, take a look, and say, okay, I gave my best. I think was there anything else I could have done better?
Mm.
Yeah, okay. Was this a failure? Well, it's only gonna be a failure if I completely, run away from that and you know sulk during that moment there. But if we come back stronger, then that's when we have that fight in us, then that's what'll get us becoming better players. So I think it's good that there's going to be that there. I'm predicting there's going to be some upsets.
Yeah, not to sound horribly cliched, but I only feel like it's a failure if you are in a bad mood afterwards. This is a game and it's fun, and this community is just so full of amazing and caring people. Like, you losing a game means that you've lost to someone who's just like a great person objectively.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. And I can't, I agree with you wholeheartedly with that. Yeah. I don't feel bad when I lose. Like, yep, this person played better than I did. They had the better RNG. They had the better board. They were mentally calm upon playing the match, and they deserved it. It's like I can't be mad at that.
Yeah, and now they get to have their moment in the spotlight and you get to cheer them on.
Absolutely. Sometimes. Just kidding. Much love to all the folks that I lost to. It was fun. I mean, one day I'll beat them. I'll get my revenge.
I like to assign some vicarious accomplishment to whoever beats me. So, if I lose to Dimwit, my dreams of taking the whole thing then ride on Dimwit. So I'll cheer him on for the rest.
Yeah, no, totally. I can 100% agree with that. But then, yeah, it's sometimes I'll be like, exact my revenge. And I'm like, nah, you deserved it. You're good. It's kind of in the heat of the moment. I mean, it's hard to cheer for everybody, but it's like, dang it. Let's go, Team Dr. Mario.
Yes. Well, thanks again for joining me on the podcast.
Hey, like I said, it was a total pleasure to be on here. I was truly shocked when you invited me on here. I honestly didn't expect you to be like, hey, you free this week for a podcast? I was like, whoa, yeah, cool, totally. Thank you, Influx.
Yeah. And thank you, everyone at home, for listening in again. As always, in Dr. Mario and in life, bless RNG.
Bless RNG.